Welcome back. It's Simon J from Compare Recruitment Factoring for Recruitment Fund in 5, sometimes most of the time 10. Today we've got Pete Stanton from Pete Cashflow. Pete's been in the market a long time, and he owns or co-owns his own factoring business. I'm interested to ask him a few of our questions. Hope you enjoy, and I'll let him introduce himself. Peter Stanton, Pete Cashflow. Welcome. 30 seconds, 1 minute of you and your business.
Thank you. Pete Stanton. I co-own and run Pete Cashflow. Have done so for 14 years. We are a smaller ticket invoice finance company providing invoice factoring without the payroll element. We also provide confidential invoice discounting, and we do a number of ancillary products linked to that, and also services which overlap for certain clients who may want a bit of one and not the other. We are quite a flexible provider. And this allows us to perhaps do deals which are slightly specialised that others may not wish to do.
Yeah, you do quite a lot of, we won't go into depth, but you quite like the permanent sector as well, and do quite a lot of funding into the permanent recruitment space, which is quite interesting because a lot of the providers are, I guess, have got less appetite towards that. And your background from a point of view of how many years in IF?
Too many. I'm 50. I was 50 last week, and I started in IF. Well, I started in banking when I was 18, and then I went into IF when I was 27. So 37, 47, that's 23 years in invoice finance now.
Pete Cashflow is 15 years old now?
14 years old.
Let's jump in to the first couple of questions. You've got a couple for me. You've got one for me. I've got two for you. Let's see if we can keep. I think I'm going to change the name of the thing to Recruitment Fund in 10 as opposed to 5 because I'm guaranteed not to make this under 5 minutes. But my first one to you was next year, 2021. Seems like ages away. It's not. Where do you see the invoice finance market in 2021? I guess what is the biggest challenge that you see for 2021 for the IF market, and for clients, I guess, accessing the IF market?
Well, I think the market will be buoyant. There's plenty of us about. We are all working hard, and we want to do deals.
Yeah.
So getting a deal, I don't think is going to be tricky for clients.
Okay.
I think you will have some lenders who perhaps have suffered more during the recent period.
Yeah.
But if you've got the majority of lenders like us and many of our competitors who are decent people who have taken a sensible, stable approach to their funding, nothing will change. Nothing will change. You know, there are going to be some challenges, and I don't want to be bored and stupid about it, but there's going to be some great opportunities. Hospitality, it's going to come back. It's going to come roaring back.
Yeah.
And we've looked at lots of hospitality deals where we've taken them on. They're not turning over yet, but when it comes, it's going to come. And, you know, September, October, you know, we are creatures of habit. People want to go to the pub. So that's one really big positive side. And also online retail. We've got a number of clients who are supplying into the Amazons of this world. That's
recruitment businesses specifically?
Sorry?
Recruitment businesses?
Yes. They are providing temporary staff into these large warehouse areas to do all sorts of things, not just to pick and pack, all sorts of things, logistics, everything. And they have done very well, and they will continue to do well because I truly believe some people's spending habits will change. So that's what I think will be the hot areas next year. So
it could be a high growth market as well then, potentially, invoice finance. More people setting up, more people accessing cash, and more people growing.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people are right at the bottom of their borrowing at the moment because their sales ledgers have dropped.
Yeah.
But as we come out of this, there will be a need to use a factoring-based product to generate that level of cash to meet the you know, paying the payroll every week for the temporary agencies.
Nice positive answer as well. So
you've got to be. You've got to be.
Second question, important one for me, because I've only ever sold invoice finance into the recruitment market when I was in working for lenders. But why do IF providers love recruitment? What is it about a recruitment business that you guys love?
Okay, well, there's a few things where you look at recruitment, there are about 4 or 5 points. But number one is factoring companies like lending to people who have a sell and forget product. And that means in English, when the invoice is raised to your customer, they have to pay. Now, if you have a business where there is a timesheet or some kind of deliverable, provable service that's given, such as, say, a temporary recruitment agency, they have a piece of paper or an electronic sign-off saying, we've had those staff, you've got to pay. Now, you go to court. I've been doing this 20 odd years. I've been to court a lot of times. And when you go to court and you have a signed piece of paper saying they've had those temporary agency workers, the customer, the end customer, always pays. You always win. So therefore, it makes the debt what we call factorable. So if you've got a debt that's factorable, it means that generally nobody's going to expect a credit note for a dispute over the hours that somebody has worked. So therefore, you raise an invoice for £100, you're going to get paid £100.
Yeah, okay.
And as a factoring company, that's what we love, because we have a very, very solid trail to prove the invoice is going to get paid.
Yeah,
we love it. We love it. And generally, also, if you are funding permanent placement clients, then those permanent placement clients, you can look at a history of how many of your permanent placement candidates have stayed in the role, if you are a company who deals in that. And that allows you to build up I suppose, a historical trail. And generally, what happened before will happen in the future.
Yeah,
so
and just
therefore get comfortable with that.
For the video, for everyone watching who I guess is less clued up on the factory market, perm finance is something not heavily used in the market, but it's sometimes becoming used a little bit more. Basically freeing up money against the invoice of the permanent placement. It's already been done. So the candidate starts and create that money up front, and so I guess your deliverable on a permanent placement is that the candidate's actually physically started.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to start, and we expect an email from the end customer to the agency confirming the candidate started, and then we fund that. And those run concurrent with their temporary or their contract staff. And that they run beautifully together, same customers, different customers, it doesn't matter. And sometimes we do one, sometimes we do the other. But if you combine those two facts, and also the fact that you are generally providing contract staff, you are paying their wages, then customers tend to pay people's wages ahead of other suppliers, which means what we call your debt turn, how quickly people take to pay, is better for temporary recruitment deals.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that was really, really valid, and that's why they love recruitment. And you had one question for me, which we try and end with one question. Yeah, let's go for it.
Fire away. So my question to you is, when you're speaking to a potential recruitment business, and they are looking for a form of structure, funding structure, what would be the key points you would consider when recommending whether to go for a full back office serviced facility rather than a traditional factoring credit control only facility for the client? And is there like a tipping point where, you know, they might want to go one way or the other? And because that's something of interest to me, I need to understand why you would recommend those and get my head around it a bit more, I suppose.
But it's not recruitment funding 50, so I'll have to be quite concise on that. And there's so many different points about that. So my personal background before I set up Compare Recruitment Factoring is I've actually worked for pay and bill funders, but then also worked for factoring only invoice discount providers. And that tipping point changes by so many different things. And I'll list them off. I won't go, but this are the actual size of the business. So payroll, back office funding, basically temps being paid weekly, margin being paid weekly, invoices being raised, timesheets, all the back office administration, all for one bundled fee. Works very, very, very well for brand new start businesses, because often there's no setup or minimum fees, and it's a very simple fee to calculate. And it works for businesses that don't have the capability in-house to be able to run it themselves, or don't want to outsource it to another provider. So new starts, I'd say, is a high percentage would go to payroll back office, but some who want to have a bit more control and want to run it themselves, it doesn't happen. And then the level changes. So couple of things. I've just made some notes there. I think a few different things dictate it. Sector being one. If it's a low, so a high value timesheet, a low admin trail, we see more of those going directly to a factoring only or ID facility straight away than a pay and bill. Because if you've got 5 contractors out that are paid £1,000 a day or £500 a day, and you're raising 10 invoices a month and paying 10 guys a month, but you're turning over £1 million, that could become quite costly with pay and bill funding as opposed to factoring. But some people still love it because they like the timesheet portal. Sector, the actual the admin of the people involved. Do they want to be involved in the day-to-day? Do they have an operations manager? Do they not? The margins, again, is very important. Something I just thought about a minute ago. If you're in a very, very margin-led business, the fee that's going to the pay and bill or factoring can be quite a big percentage of your margin. So if the margins are that tight, we're seeing more recruitment businesses go to funding only and run the back office themselves because they can increase that margin that way. And cost is always, if someone is absolutely cost-driven, they will probably end up factoring. It's not always cheaper on paper. It is normally cheaper, but it's understanding what the other costs are and how much the back office is costing to run separately and this is costing to run separately, etc. So it's probably an episode that I could do a whole episode with you and a couple of different funders, and it'd be really great to get a couple of pay and bill, a couple of factors all on the same screen and sort of you say this, you say that, because so many different things. Because of my background, I thought that we'd be doing a lot of the payroll and back office funding. It's very balanced. We do factoring and pay bill 50-50-ish of the book. So no real straightforward answer to that, but a really good question, and a lot of the things to consider when thinking sector, admin, margin, cost, and the tipping point. I don't think there is one. I think it depends on every single individual. So hopefully that kind of answers. I don't think it does too much, but I've sort of waffled on a bit. But
yeah, it's good. It's good.
So look, Peter, really appreciate you jumping on with us today. The sun is absolutely shining outside. It's like beautiful. I'll put this up, and yeah, hopefully everyone loves it.
Love it. Brilliant. Thank you.